Hey everyone, welcome back to another Clutch conversation where we sit down with successful agency owners and B2B experts and share insights that our agency partners and other small businesses can really take advantage of. And I'm really excited about today's conversation with Donald C. Kelly, founder and CEO of the Sales Evangelist. And we're going to talk about winning the sale before you show up, right? Isn't that great? I wish all my salespeople did that. So sales evangelists, Donald's going to talk about it, but create business development strategies for small to mid-sized businesses. Donald's one of the most influential people on LinkedIn, which is why we're having this conversation. He's got great posts. I encourage you to follow him on LinkedIn. And he's joining me today to discuss how agency owners can create and build their influence to win the sale before you even show up. So thanks for joining me today, Donald. Why don't you give me a quick overview of how you got into the sales evangelist and what you guys do?
Well, I appreciate that, and thanks so much for allowing me to be on here with you guys today to do this. And I'll give you the quick backstory. I'm coming to you from my little home office that we're redoing. So typically I'm in the studio setup, but you guys forgive me on that one. But we had so the story started back in 2013. I did a podcast that was focused on sales, just me talking because I had tough times with the companies that I was working with and didn't necessarily have direct sales guidance. It didn't have all of them didn't have sales enablement like they do now. So I had to go to the school of hard knocks. One of my buddies saw what I was doing. I'd gotten some training from one of the final companies I went to, and they just had a great setup. But he saw what I was doing. He's like, "You should create a podcast." I was like, "What is that?" It's like internet radio. So, anyways, I listened to him and started the Sales Evangelist podcast back then. And the podcast started to gain attention. People started to listen to the show, and then I remember the first person reach out when I launched was Jose Diaz. And Jose, somebody that I knew my network, and he needed some help with sales and marketing. So I started, just coaching him on the side, $300 a month, once a week. Met with him and his wife, and I thought I was hot, hot stuff at that point. I mean, I was making money in my full-time sales job, but it was like cool getting something from the side gig. But then Destiny came around, and then Katie, and then Martin were these random people that found the podcast. And then by 2015, I got a sponsorship deal with Prezi. They were doing Prezi for Business back then, and they were running stuff on NPR, and they're picking podcasts, and I was one of the podcasts they picked, and it was pretty amazing. And so by that point, I started realizing, Tim, that there was a business potential opportunity here, and we started creating content in the sense of training courses, and started delivering those, and just coaching, consulting, and giving these sales training workshops, and left my full-time gig, and that developed into a business. And now we service clients across the globe, literally. Create content in English and Spanish, and also we assist teams with SKOs and small organizations as consultants, that we go in and help them. So that's the organization we built, and fortunate to be a LinkedIn influencer and partnership with Salesforce and also with HubSpot.
That's awesome. You were
Yeah.
early to the game with what'd you say,
Yeah.
2014 with the podcast? That's
13, yeah, 13 was
13. There you
officially
go.
launched on 13 in the 2013. We were coming back home from watching the Hunger Games, and Apple said it was approved. So my wife and I were freaking out.
Great. That's really cool. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to go back and listen to that first episode for sure.
Don't. Oh my goodness. Uh,
All right, so
Cringeworthy,
we're
but
going to talk
it
about being
humbles
an
me.
influencer, but first, I want to hear how you prepare for a pitch,
Yeah.
right? Like how much research do you do? Like what do you prep? And as we're thinking about our agency owners, right? They're all doing pitches, all the time. Like what are the things you look for to sort of help prep for the pitch?
Yeah, and so let's clarify. So ideally, we've done the cold outreach. We got you. We have the appointment, and now we're going to pitch you, right?
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
The first thing that I would tell you, because I'm going through a playbook right now with one of our clients and helping them build this out. The first thing is not necessarily what you pitch, but who you pitch to. And this is critical. Most times that I find when I work with agencies or organizations, teams, is that we have a generic pitch that we feel can benefit everyone. We call something in our organization the blind side challenge. So let's say, for instance, I'm just going to do a really rudimentary, simple example. Let's say I sell CRM solutions, and the CRM solution, my general pitch, my value proposition is that this is going to help you to be more productive and be more efficient. And you don't have to worry about Excel anymore and keeping track of your clients and miss opportunities. Like that's cool and all. That's some of the generic things that benefit as a CRM. And most people, it's if you think about like blindside, imagine like we're going to use the football sense for this. And for let's use let's use a car because we probably have an international audience here. So let's look at a car driving. I can see straight through the windshield. I can see everything that's ahead of me. Most of the prospect can see those things, those obstacles that's straight ahead of them. Yes, it's cumbersome. Yes, I know that the CRM versus Excel can make me more organized. Yes, it can give me notification. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I know that stuff. The things that is going to make the deal so much more effective are blind side. What's in their blind side, the peripheral that they're not paying attention to, that if I can point out to them will help make an impact. That's where I need to come prepared to that conversation with. So I might come and say, from what we found, that 65% of agency owners who do implement a CRM, and this could be data that we've collected over the years with our CRM company, see that their average deal size raise from $3,200 a year per month to $5,500 per month, which would be open if I was to show you that. Now, again, this is insights that I may not necessarily be privy to. That's not necessarily obvious there, but I can show why that's the case. That's insightful. And then the second thing, though, you want to tailor that insight to the individual. So if I'm talking to the CMO versus the CRO, when I'm pitching them, there's two different things that are going to be more important too. And if you go to, there's, the guys who did Challenge a Sale, Matt Dixon has another book. And one of the things he talks about is indecision. Oftentimes people they don't want to put their neck on the line that I'm going to make a decision for the CRM that's not going to best benefit that's not going to prove results. But people are selfish too. They want to look at how this is going to help them. So if I can help you to, as a CRO, point out how this is going to help you to be more successful, I go in, and this is how I do it. I go and look at the CRO position. I can use Chat GPT and say, give me the CRO position in XYZ company in X industry. What are their main responsibilities? And I know if that person fulfilled those responsibilities, they're going to be successful to their higher ups, which may help them to get promotion and also look good in their organization. So my pitch based on blindside challenge that I'm impacting a CRO, that's how I'm going to tailor it. So am I going to talk about that revenue? That's probably something that she's more concerned about as a CRO, and how that's going to help the organization, and how it's going to help, how it's going to help her in the organization. Most of the CROs that we work with, whenever they make an impactful change with this, they see X amount of result increase. When it comes to the marketing side, a lot of the CMOs that we're working with, I'm talking to David now at this point. David, I want to just point this out to you. I'm sure this is something you're concerned about, is that it frees up time by X amount of percentage and whatever. The point is, I have a blindside challenge tailored towards each of those individuals, and I come prepared understanding what's most important to them. And one of the easier ways you can find this too is by going into the organization and talking to individuals. So don't talk to, and I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but I'm not talking to David and let's say, David and Mary. Those are my CMO and CRO. Those are the ones that I'm going to be selling to. Those are the ones I'm trying to marry, quote unquote. I'm going to go down to the ICPs, the individuals, the end users, make some phone calls, talk to that junior marketing rep, or talk to one of the salespeople in the organization and get some of the frustrations that they have or some of the focus that the organization have, because those people are willing to talk to you. I can't marry them. They have no decision-making power, but I can have conversation with them that helps equip me to be able to fine-tune my blind-size challenge based on things that I find that impacts their roles. And obviously, if there's stuff that's out there that the company's trying to do, I match that towards it. But that's the type of prep that helps to make sure that pitch is lean and focused directly towards individuals. And as a natural byproduct, is going to help the organization. Hopefully that makes sense. I went off there for a little bit. Got excited.
No, I heard a couple great things. One, I love the idea of talking to the people you can't marry, right? Like, first of all, what a great line, right? But second of all, it's like you're talking to the kids to get the real story, right? Like,
Yeah.
And that's true. Like, the higher ups just aren't going to share it, and two, they may not know, right?
Yes.
But second, the other thing I always find with salespeople is they do struggle to understand what a C-level person is really cares about. And I love that little ChatGPT trick. Like, everybody should just do that, right? Like, just understand, like, what are the things that's going to make this person successful, and then look for those those are two great tips.
When you come with sounding like you can have a conversation on what matters to me as a CRO or a CMO, I'm going to converse with you and I won't see you as an order taker.
Yeah, exactly. And being on the other side of that, I feel like if somebody is quickly, I quickly realize if somebody's not, it doesn't belong in the conversation, right? All right. Talk to me about. I love this. I love this concept you posted about. The best time to get a sale is right after you close one.
Oh man, I
I
did.
I, I love this. I want to hear your perspective because I say this all the time internally.
It's so true though, right? Like there's something that happens to us, like our confidence becomes so much stronger. And I'll go back and give some more, some simple example here. So I just remember back in the days in middle school and high school when I didn't have a girl or anyone that, I'm not dating anyone, my confidence was low. But as soon as you start dating someone, it's like everyone in the world wants to date you. It's like, oh, it's like, come on, where were you 6 months
Yeah,
ago?
yeah,
Like,
right.
it's like, come on, Amber. Like, it's like, but that's what starts just happen. It's like it's almost like people can't have what they. People, it's just this level of confidence that you start giving off. But I remember this when I did door to door security sales. I was in college and I was going knocking on doors, selling security in Indiana and in Missouri or whatever. Memphis, there you go. And one of the things that I would notice was when we closed, I knock on a door and I get a sale, and I talked about this in that post. It was amazing how when I went to knock on the next door, I often got a sale, or within the next few doors, I can get two sales in that neighborhood. In my mind, I'm just like thinking, what happened? What happened to the 20 doors before that first one? It wasn't the fact that these people weren't home. Sometimes they weren't home, but the point is people were still there, but they weren't saying they weren't ready for it. Or I mean, excuse me, they said no in particular because I didn't I assumed they were going to say no, Tim,
Yeah, yeah,
and I behave according to that.
yeah,
I know you're going to reject me, so therefore I'm just going to give my weak sauce pitch. Hey,
yeah,
we're in this neighborhood, blah blah blah. But when I come to your door and I just sold, your neighbor just invested in it, and they told me the reason why because the neighborhood is, they want to be more secure. They just had a kid or whatever. I just feel so much more confident that I'm not scamming people. This stuff is real, that it's
yeah,
solving real people's problems. And then I come to your door and I say, hey Tim, we just helped the Johnsons next door. Confidence go up. You know the Johnsons, and there's a level of
yeah,
strength there. And then I just go into it.
yeah.
I'm not desperate. I don't have commission breath anymore. I'm just telling you because this is what's going to happen. I already made $400, so now it's going to be 800 on this. This,
I love
but
that.
it
Never
just
heard.
makes such a big difference.
Yeah,
But then the same thing happens too when it comes to prospecting over the phone when me and my team, when we get an appointment, I'm just like, I don't want that fairy dust to die off. I'm like, go make another call, go make another call, because you're running on this high right now. You want to go celebrate, go ring the bell, but no, let's go make another call right now because this juice, this fairy dust you have is powerful. Your confidence is so high. You don't need to get another one for today, but this allows for you to be able to behave in such a way that you don't have commission breath, and your capabilities to be able to execute at a confident level just is out the roof. And people can't say no to that.
most of us can't fake it, right? So a handful of people in the world can really fake it, but like,
Yeah.
man, there that confidence boost is just it's hard to fake. And so, it's like when you're on a hot streak, you got to keep shooting the threes, right? Like don't
Yes.
stop, right? Don't get satisfied. Like just keep shooting, right?
Give Tim the ball.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right, so let's
Yeah.
talk about your social media presence.
Yeah.
How important is that to, is it good for acquisition? Is it good for closing? Is it good for, credibility, like, or all of the above? Like what does it do for you?
Both, and I'll give you. So I was talking to someone the other day, and they asked me. We were talking about like like different social media platforms. I told them you can take email away from me, you can take the phone away from me. You could take maybe not the phone, but you could take email away from me. You could take away like Insta. You could take away TikTok, Facebook. Definitely you could take. But do not take LinkedIn because that is my money spot. Like it is absolute money. And the reason for me that I love this is that LinkedIn is, I've always heard from when I first started in sales, you should network, but no one ever taught us what networking really was. It's a very vague term. But I came to realize that LinkedIn was absolute money for me. And then I'm going to tie this into two pieces with content. So there's LinkedIn content that I share, and then there's the podcast content. Now, here's the secret that I discovered. People ask me, how much money has a podcast generated for you? And I cannot give you a number on that, Tim. If you ask me every month how much it converts, I don't know. It's hard to give that metric because There's so much things, so much that goes into it. But let me give you an example that I found. The podcast, as a direct result of the podcast, I got a book deal. As a direct result of the podcast, I got a textbook a deal. I have two textbooks now in over 90 universities, me and my co-author. As a
Wow.
direct result of the podcast, I
Yeah.
became an influencer with LinkedIn and with HubSpot and these other platforms. So some of those things is hard to monetize, but then also it's because result of the podcast and the content that I put out there. Somebody listens to my show. I found this oftentimes a junior rep listens to my show. 5 years later, this person becomes a manager. This person brings me in to do training for their organization or to coach their team. And there's money that come with it in that sense. So there's so much.
Yep.
So the first component, content established the credibility.
Yep.
I would say for me, and sharing that stuff on LinkedIn as well, establish credibility. So podcast and LinkedIn. Number two, it also allows me to be able to be as a strong reminder to folks that I'm around, and then also direct business opportunities where I do have people will come to me monthly and say, "Hi, listen to the podcast. I heard this episode. I want to do business. Can you help us out with this?" Or I follow you on social and I connect with them. One of the strategies I do every time somebody connect backs with me. So some of you are watching this, do it, and you'll see it happens. It's not automated, but we do it. But I'll send you a personal message, personalized canned message that will say, Tim, thanks so much for connecting. It's an honor to connect with you. Out of curiosity, what prompted the connection? And we'll say, I listened to the podcast, and then we start a dialogue. Like, oh, what happened? I send a voice message. How'd you find the show? Found it this way. I'm trying to improve my cold call. What have you done to do so? Blah, blah, blah. We give some tips. Here's a tip that you might like. And then it might inevitably, Donald, do you guys do anything with training? Do you have a group? Yeah, great. And it leads into opportunities from that. So the podcast and the content that I share from LinkedIn and from the pod goes to credibility, and it does to some marketing when I'm not around, and obviously some direct opportunities that come from it. So hopefully that answers the question
Yeah.
there.
And actually, maybe you have heard this. I've heard that in LinkedIn, if you connect with someone and there's a single back and forth, that dramatically increases how often you'll see that person's content for some window of time. Uh, so,
That's yeah, and that probably would make sense. I don't know I haven't seen any details on that, but that
yeah,
would make total sense
yeah,
because they're probably algorithms saying this person is engaging with you, so
yeah,
therefore
yeah.
show them some stuff.
I heard it. Don't know if it's true, but yeah,
Yeah,
seems like not a bad tactic anyway.
no, not a bad.
All right, so let's segue this into so Clutch works with agency owners, mostly marketing agency owners, tech agency owners, other sort of professional services firms. How much of this can, whether you're a small agency or mid-sized agency, maybe you're the owner, maybe you're a senior leader, how much of this is realistic for someone there to replicate?
So here's a piece that I literally am working on stuff on this one because it was a conversation, and also it is a it's something that's been itching, because the challenge that we find in business is that everyone wants scalable, and we have to have something that scale. But I find that it's really difficult to I don't know how to best put this. You can put a system in place, but
Mhm,
oftentimes, if you're not creative,
mhm.
you're going to you're just going to spam people.
Yeah.
And so let me back up. I can put a sequence in place that tell you the first step, you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, and then after that, you want to, you engage with that piece of content, and then you reach out via email and phone and so forth. Anyone could create that sequence. We
Right.
can have that systematic way, but that's the science.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the art form comes into that is knowing with IQ when I need to skip that email. I just booked a guy just booked an appointment with me the other day, and it did so well that I actually created a whole episode on it that's coming out next Monday.
Nice.
But this guy did not send me one email, and he did not do a phone call. But is that what I'm going to tell everybody to not do phone calls and email? Absolutely not. The principle of that, he grabbed my attention, and then he engaged with me and started a dialogue, and that dialogue led to for him to have a we call it a relevant conversation, and that relevancy led to the appointment for him.
Yeah.
So now let's go back to that. That's the that's the principle that could be taken and put into any structure. So whatever structure you have in your organization. So can this be replicated across any agency? Absolutely. And it takes, but if you're going to do effective prospecting, it takes time. This is where I recommend two levels of prospecting: your tier one prospects and tier two. So the tier one prospect may be a little bit more qualified. I'm looking at people that if I'm reaching out to agencies, let's say if I'm selling to an agency, I'm going to look at maybe somebody who's new in their sales position. So I'm going to use Navigator to identify if they have a new sales manager, sales director, sales VP of sales, or whatnot. And that drastically then lowers the number of people that's out there. Then number two, I'm going to look for people who are sharing content on LinkedIn because I feel that that's a great place for me, and I can do all this in Sales Navigator. So I have two criteria. And then if there's any type of intent data, maybe we know that agencies are probably making adjustments and purchases, maybe end of the year, contract year. So then I might look at that as another factor. But what about throughout the whole year? But I'm just saying, like that could be some of the major factors. And if maybe they don't need to have the trifecta, but they have at least two of those. So then now I could start that conversation with those focus accounts. I'm going to hyper focus on 30 accounts for the next 30 days. And I'm going to try to penetrate into those accounts with reach three different individuals: the CFO, the CEO, the marketing director, the sales leader, and then maybe the CEO, because it's not a huge organization. So those three people that I'm going in. But my tier two may be people who are not new to their roles, but they fit my ICP, and perhaps they're in a certain demographics, and it maybe they're not really as hot right now on the list. And I'm going to do more of outreach to those people that's maybe higher in volume, that's going to be hyper focused on the challenges that role may be facing at that point. But my hyper focus art and science are going to my top tier folks, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
for BDR.
And do you think, I mean, it sounds like what you were saying in the first part of that was, um, maybe you're being nice about this. Like, you got to have the talent to pull it off,
You
right?
do.
Like, yeah, like don't just get on there and expect a podcast to work, right? It ain't a formula, right? Like,
No.
you either you got to have the personality, or you got to have or you
Yeah.
got to have such great insights, or something unique, right? Otherwise, you're just in the ether.
Yeah, and so let's back up. So I was referring that to just a cold outreach, but yes, for the podcasting side, absolutely. So we have we produce content for other brands, and that's one of the second things we started. We started a podcast production company, and we produce content for other organizations. But one of the things that we've come to realize, you're right, not everyone should be creating a podcast. Everyone should do some form of content, but not everyone needs to be a podcast. So we've had companies where we had, like say Jack had this really good idea, and Jack is a marketing director, but Jack probably wasn't the best person to put behind the mic. That's probably was going to be Mary, one of the team members there. Like she could be a better host than Jack. And that identifying that person, and then also like going forward content that people want to see. When we do this, I always often tell our clients, go look at Reddit. Let's go see what people are naturally talking about, or go look at some G2 complaints. What are some of the things people are complaining about when they do reviews? Like those things are going to be content that you can then utilize, because it shows that other people are interested in that. Nobody's going to go post something unless they have a genuine reason, or if they have a genuine complaint on a review platform.
I,
But that helps with identifying the right
yeah,
content too.
I have a saying, which is, don't build a bridge based on how many people are swimming across the river. But if someone is swimming across the river, you definitely need a bridge, right? Okay,
I
let's go
like that.
to our rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Uh, well, go to podcast besides yours.
The my favorite one is Business Wars, and then after that is um, uh, the second one right now is Business Movers, similar type of pod, and then How I Built This guy.
Oh, nice. I like how I built this. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one. All right. So one thing that people who maybe don't know you that well would be surprised to learn about you.
I'm Jamaican, and so I lived on an island with wonderful seafood all around me, and then moved to Florida. we're pretty much almost an island. Wonderful seafood all around me, and I don't like seafood. So
Ooh, tough growing up, huh?
I know, right? As a kid, we had to kill the, not kill, like we had to clean the fishes, and just one day it was just kind of like, I don't want this anymore. I don't like this.
All right, most memorable moment for you so far in your professional career?
Probably the most memorable, there's many, but probably going to go with this one when I got the book back in the mail from the publisher. It was something that no one in my family ever done, and it was a huge feat. But I was able to write a book and getting that, and that was the next level. It was
Yeah, I
cool.
bet that had to be awesome. That'd be
Yeah.
incredible. All right, everyone. Donald C. Kelly. Where can people find you?
Yeah, no surprise here. The best place to go and find me is go on LinkedIn and connect with me. Send me a message. Tell me that you heard me here on the podcast. Clutch, or if you just drop a message, Clutch, I know exactly what it is, and we'll start conversing. I promise you, I won't sell you anything then, but if you desire, I won't hold you. I won't hold it away from you.
Well, I appreciate you doing this. This is an awesome conversation. I'll let you know if I'm visiting my friend down in West Palm Beach, and we'll
Let's go.
we'll grab a drink of coffee or something.
I appreciate it. And then one more thing, I'll just tell
Yeah.
folks, Tim. I know you guys probably do this, but it's like when you're, I don't know if you did this as a kid. Your parents tell you something, you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But then your friend's mom tell you the same thing. You're like, this is genius. So I will tell you guys this: as a podcaster, Tim and his crew are making amazing content, and all this is free for you. All they ask is that you take this one link and you share it with somebody else that could benefit from it. It'll be such a huge difference when you can just give, tell share that naturally. And if you haven't done so, leave a review or share something about it because it goes a long way for a podcast host. So please, if you do that for them, I know they'll love it. So
That's awesome. Appreciate it, man.
love neighbor dad.